live in stereo.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in, welcome home. Good to see everybody. Welcome to the new and improved RawCast with RawTactics and TrueBlue. We're here to talk games and gaming news. So without any further ado, let's just go ahead and hop straight into this. Blue, let's hear a bit about your history with games or what got you into the medium, whatever you like to kick this off with.
Cool. Right. Well, hello everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you may be.
Good
Right,
to see you, Kefka.
so I am going to chat about some of my experiences from in gaming, basically, and how I got into gaming. Right. So, first of all, I would like to talk about how where I saw my first video game. So, it was when I went to a creche in Scotland. Does everybody know what a creche is? Rod, do you know what a creche is?
I don't know what the hell you're talking about, bro.
So it's like somewhere where like I used to go, like my mum and dad would used to go shopping and they would dump me off at a creche. It's like a little leisure centre as a kid. So it was somewhere to keep me safe while they went away and go shopping. So obviously I was a young kid at the time, and in that creche there was a Sega Master System, right?
Nice.
We all know, yeah, old school, retro, showing my age here, right? But on that Sega Master System there was a game called Double Dragon. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
Heard of it,
But
never
yeah.
played it.
Right, so essentially it's a side-scrolling beat-em-up game where you picked either two characters, Billy or Jimmy, and really simple premise. Your girlfriend gets kidnapped by a gang called the Black Warriors, right? And you have to save her, and you're going through different stages, basically beating up guys, beating up women, and you have to get your girlfriend back. But when I saw that, that was my sort of first foray into gaming, and I couldn't get off it. I was in that creche and playing that, and apparently my mum and dad were telling me that, the sort of supervisors of the creche were literally dragging me off it because I was hogging it that much. Other kids were complaining. So I was playing
Nice.
it constant. Yeah, and that game got me into basically got me into gaming. Like, furthermore, I would go to like the swimming baths down my way again as a kid. So my mum and dad would take me so I could go swimming, but I really wanted to just go there to see the arcade games that were there. So like one of the arcade games was Golden Axe. So I don't know, you must be familiar with Golden Axe, Raw, right?
Again, that's one I know that I've heard of it. I've probably seen it, but never played it. No.
Right, so Golden Axe, again, it's another scroller, but it's a hack and slash game. You could pick three characters. You could pick like a dwarf. You could pick like a sort of warrior, Valkyrie woman, and a big, your standard male protagonist, like warrior, like a Conan type guy. And you could use magic as well. So again, it's same premise. You could you're walking through the stages, and you're hacking and slashing through all these different kind of characters. But yeah, those two were like massive, significant in my gaming like childhood. So those were the ones that got me into gaming. Like, and I was always at the arcades, like putting money in machines. And if not putting money in machines, I was watching other people playing. So
Right.
that was my kind of introduction into gaming, and like that sort of infused me and made me want to be a gamer. Essentially, I was addicted after that, and and I moved on to stuff like Street Fighter 2. Street Fighter 2 was huge. Do you know what I mean? When that came out, Roy, you must have, you must know about that, definitely. But yeah, Street Fighter 2, another one. A lot of money was spent on that, watching guys play that, and the concept itself. Street Fighter 2 then graduating onto like the likes of Mortal Kombat, and wow, man, like I remember the experience of seeing Mortal Kombat. Man, that was the death moves. Raw, you definitely know what I'm talking about here.
The
Like
controversy
the
that caused, like it shook up the market completely.
absolutely,
I
man.
wrote a couple of papers on that in college, and yeah, that was a defining moment in gaming history. We're gonna stumble over my
Definitely, man.
words, but definitely a defining moment in history, and it really revolutionized. Wasn't that what actually kicked off the ESRB rating on games?
It was that, and there was a few other games around about that time. I think I
Right.
mentioned it before on one of the streams. Like I mentioned a game called Night Trap. We'll not go into that too much, but yeah, you're right. There was controversy. There was court cases and stuff like that when the the sort of death moves were revealed, and it was being too graphic because it was the jump from like I'm going to use like the jump from Street Fighter 2 to Mortal Kombat because Street Fighter 2 was obviously quite cartoony, it wasn't like very realistic, but then Mortal Kombat was obviously done in like motion capture video and it looked real, especially the death moves. I know some of the death moves was like hilarious, like Sub-Zero, you remember ripping someone's head off and the spine being revealed. Like I mean that was the first thing I seen. I was on holiday in Spain with my parents and that's where I discovered the arcade machine itself, and that was one of the first things I seen, and I was just like, I'm trying not to swear here, but I was just like, holy, what I mean? I was just like, what is
Yeah.
that?
Oh
And
yeah.
then that was it. I was hooked. I mean? I was just like, this is incredible. But yeah, I mean, that I've touched on like that's how I sort of got into my gaming and that. But the first sort of consoles that I got, I mean, the first computer or yeah, gaming computer that I had was an Atari ST. But then I graduated onto a Super Nintendo. That was my first real console. So like
Nice.
the games like that I played on that were, I had Mortal Kombat in there. I had like Street Fighter 2, but there was games. There was one in particular called Shadowrun. It's an RPG, and it was like cyber. It was, if you think of Cyberpunk, it was a like RPG sort of like that, but it had magic in it. It had like orcs, wizards, and mages, and all that sort
Nice.
of stuff.
Nice.
And you were like sort of mercenary. That was a Shadowrunner. That's what they were called. Where you were paid money to do runs and do mercenary work, but you wake up and you've got amnesia. You were gunned down in a hit, and you wake up, you don't know who you are, and you're basically trying to figure out who you are and who got you. But yeah, that was my sort of introduction into RPGs, and then I went from there to like Link to the Past, Zelda, playing that, and that was massive. That was huge for me as well. Like that game, and another one was Secret of Mana, which was another sort of RPG that got me loving every like the RPG genre as a whole. And then I guess I kind of moved on to PC after that. I really wanted a Sega Mega Drive or a Genesis, as you call it, but my mum and dad wouldn't buy me it. So I'm still angry at that. I still remind them about that to this day. They didn't buy me that, but yeah. Then I went on to PC gaming, and I kind of went on to what was the first Bethesda game, of course, was that I played was Daggerfall. I mean,
That's
huge. That was
crazy.
a huge. Yeah, that was a huge one. I'm looking to my right now, and I can still see. I've still got the box. I've still got the Daggerfall box, and inside it, I've still got the little map and all that sort of stuff that you get with it. But yeah, that was it. There's Daggerfall, and then I progressed onto sort of Morrowind, Oblivion, and then I'm gonna chuck it out straight away. Like, of course, Fallout, right?
Oh my
Fallout
god.
1.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Right. So yeah, that's when I discovered Fallout 1, and wow, that was it. That was the game. That is I can genuinely say that Fallout 1 is my number one game. It is the best game I've ever played in terms of story, and it was more like the freedom that it gave you. Like a lot of games are like were quite light in terms of what you could do, but Fallout, it didn't mess around. Like if you wanted to rob somebody, if you saw someone with a gun and you were like, I want that gun or I want that armor, that was a thing that like appealed to me, and I was just like, holy hell, this is like next level stuff. The story itself, and yeah, man, that was it. And then obviously they went on to progress to Fallout 2. Played Fallout Tactics, which was rubbish to be fair. I think everybody agrees that was pretty bad. But then Fallout 3 came out on the Xbox, New Vegas. Well, Raw. I mean, I know you love that. Sure, we'll
Yeah.
probably touch on
That's
that
my
when you're
goal.
talking about yeah.
That's my goal.
But yeah, so I think you get the general gist. Like, I progressed from hack and slash beat 'em ups to like console RPGs and then PC RPGs, and yeah, that's kind of my forte. So there you go. That's my gaming experiences in a nutshell.
Well, you definitely got a little bit of a head start on me because I was a '90s baby. I
Yeah, man.
was
Yeah. So I was
mid
80s.
'90s. Um, So I mean, just the differences with that is already kind of crazy. You playing Daggerfall? I never even heard of Daggerfall until some years later. So I mean, I was spoiled to an extent, and really, as far as being spoiled, not necessarily that I had every console, but I got experiences with all these consoles. Everything from, I mean, the OG Pong. Because like certain babysitters, you go to the house out in the countryside, and like they didn't have the new modern stuff, but they had that
I
old CRT TV with Pong. And I mean, after that, really some of the first gaming memories that I have was with like Mario on the NES, um Bubsy on the SNES, Donkey Kong on the Game Boy Advance, eventually WrestleMania on the Sega Genesis, Unreal Tournament on the Dreamcast, Virtua Fighter on the Saturn, uh, and then eventually leading into the revolution of the PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, everything after that. But really, I started off on like the 80s and 90s consoles. I bounced around between so many of those different consoles, between going to certain friends' houses or certain babysitters' houses. And I was really kind of spoiled in that aspect. The fact that I got to experience all these consoles like during their, I mean, kind of their prime. Some of them were a little dated by that point, but you know what I'm saying? Like that
Yeah,
was my childhood. That's kind of crazy.
it's
And
mad, right? Sorry to interrupt, right?
no, you're
But
good.
that's mad. That's mad because you mentioned Pong, right? And I wasn't going to mention that because I felt
Yeah,
like it's so old. It's like, but yeah, and then you just rejigged my memory in terms of like when you said all the Mario games, like, and what was the other ones like Donkey Kong and all that. I
yeah,
mean, they were
yeah.
all part of my childhood, and you just rejig it. You're just reminding me. You're just reminding me of these games that I played again. But yeah, man, I'm glad you mentioned Pong.
Yeah, I feel like most people around my, not even necessarily my age, like 90s, 90s and 2000s, I feel like Pong is like an outside thing to them. The same way that we look at Pong is what the newer generations look at something like the NES. It's like, what the hell, what is that?
I know. I
Why
mean,
does the
if you
game look like that?
If you could describe Pong, how would you describe it to someone that's never heard of it? Go for it. Try and describe Pong.
So you got this sheet, and you put the sheet on the TV, and then you got this little stick or a little dial, depending. It was either a stick or a dial. And all you do is bounce a ball back and forth. You try not to
Yep.
let the ball go past you.
Peak gaming.
Yeah,
Absolute peak.
that was it. It's crazy the
Yeah.
gaming came that far in such a short amount of time, though. Like, literally putting a sheet on top of your TV and interacting with it like that, the most rudimentary way possible. So within like 10 years, we start getting on cartridges and actually having somewhat decent controllers. And then when the PlayStation 1 came out, like that, to me, that was the gaming moment that I have one very specific, very fond moment that has lived with me forever. So I talked briefly, like I've kind of touched on how a lot of these experiences came from outside sources, like going to babysitters' houses and stuff like that. There was this one that I went to, and at this time I was used to playing Bubsy on the SNES, like Bubsy the Bobcat. Is it the Bobcat or what is
Yeah,
Bubsy?
man.
Yeah, Bubsy the
Yeah, yeah.
Bobcat, jumping off the roofs and collecting the, yeah, yeah. So I was used to playing that on the SNES, trying to blow into the cartridges, make sure that the game actually set in there just the right way, the pins made just the right connection to actually get up on the CRT, sitting in the floor, like that's what I was used to. And I went over to this babysitter's house one day, walk in, and then this was probably around like 2000, early 2001, something like that. And the child of the babysitter asked if I wanted to go play his new PS1, and I didn't even know what it is, but you're a kid, you're like, yeah, let's go play. Um, so he takes me into his room, and he pulls out this little gray box, opens up the lid, puts what I thought was a CD inside of it, and hooks it up to the TV. And when I saw Spyro the Dragon, a fully rendered like 3D creature running around on that screen, it blew my mind. Like going from the
Yeah.
SNES to that was absolutely crazy. And the fact that he put again what I thought was a CD, like I was expecting him to hook this up and start hearing music through the sound system.
Yeah.
And seeing that that was an actual video game console, I was sitting there like already astonished, and I started going on about it. And Man, I will never forget this. I have never been flexed on this hard in my life. The way this kid just dumped on me, man. He was like, "You think that's cool? Watch this." He unplugged the PlayStation from the TV, grabbed this little thing and slapped it on top of it. He was like, "Open it up and hit the power button." He had the brand like again, I didn't even know about the PlayStation 1, and I'm playing on a big giant CRT TV, and he pulls out the PlayStation LCD screen for the PlayStation 1. And that, bro, that was like, I don't even have words for that. I don't know how to describe what I was feeling at that time, but seeing the a full home console and it had that little screen on it, like today, that's basically nothing. Like, but at that time, that was so revolutionary. That blew my mind. And at that moment, that's when I think that may have been what started my whole Sony fanboy thing. Like that may have been why I'm such a big PlayStation fan.
Yeah, I remember, right? I remember, like you saying, Spyro the Dragon.
Right.
My introduction to PlayStation One
Pico patient.
was Ridge Racer. Remember Ridge Racer?
Yeah, 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 I do.
That was the one. That
Ridge
was the one.
Racer.
Yeah, that was it. I remember seeing that, and I was just like, "Holy hell, this looks awesome!" It's class. And what was the other titles that sort of launched with the PlayStation One? What were the big ones? I'm trying to remember now. I'm trying to think.
I'm, I don't know necessarily what launched with it. I mean, Tony Hawk Pro Skater got started on the original
Yeah,
PlayStation. That's
yeah.
huge. Like, uh, I mean, off of what I got right next to me right now, Siphon Filter was on there. We got Loaded
Oh
and
yeah.
Reloaded. Gran Turismo got started on there.
Oh,
The
Gran
original,
Turismo, man. Yeah.
yeah,
How
the
can
original
how have I forgot
PlayStation.
that?
Crazy.
Well, I can talk about that definitely. That was revolutionary for me. Gran Turismo, and I can't believe I forgot. I said Ridge Racer ahead of Gran Turismo. That's a crime. But yeah, that soundtrack right was one of the main reasons that I got into some like music with Gran Turismo. Like I said, I think I've mentioned it before. It's like a band called Ash that I like, and they done a song called Lose Control. Like the TIE Fighter intro, and it's like all guitars and stuff. And oh man, that was. I remember I sat playing that in my friend's house, and that song came on, and everyone just looked at each other and went, "Who the hell is that?" And we all rushed out and bought the album. We literally went out and after it, and that's not even talking about the game itself. The game itself, man, that was like the graphics at the time, revolutionary, and how your ability to customize all the cars and all that. It was like at the time, it was just like wow, it was amazing. Yeah, Gran Turismo, like that's PlayStation One for me. That
Yeah, you perked up Kev because he was in the chat. He was like, "Someone say Gran Turismo." That's his thing
yeah,
right now.
yeah, Gran Turismo, man.
I
Oh,
was
sorry,
never
go ahead.
good at them. Like I was never good at them. When I was playing those games, like I was like 5, 6 years old. When I was playing those, I was trash. I was terrible at it. But I mean, Spyro, Crash, games like that, I was relatively good at. The basic platformers, like going back to them now, it's kind of rough. You can see how rudimentary, like how early gaming they actually are. But
I've literally just googled. Sorry, I've just literally just googled the sort of PS1 launch game. So I'm gonna chuck some names out to you. So get ready for this. This will bring back some memories. We've got, like I said, Bridge Racer. You've got
right.
Wipeout. Do you remember that? Wipeout.
Yes,
You've got
I loved
Crash
Wipeout.
Crash Bandicoot. You've got Metal Gear Solid. You've
That
got Final
what?
Fantasy. Yeah, Resident Evil. I think yeah, Resident Evil 2 maybe.
Those were
And
launch games?
let's have a look. October 7. You've got Silent Hill. I don't think they were launched, were they?
No, they.
Rayman. I've got Nah, no, sorry, they weren't launched. I don't think Silent
Okay.
Hills. I've got Silent Hill is 1999 here, but I think a lot of the other ones like Wipeout, Gran Turismo, Ridge Racer. Um, what else we got? And you said Tony Hawk as well. Tekken 3. They all sound familiar, right?
Dang, that's great. Yeah, yeah. NBA Jam, Rayman,
Yep.
Wipeout 2048. That was a launch one. Ridge Racer, Nova Storm, Street Fighter the movie, Power
Yep.
Serve, 3D Tennis. That was the one that everyone bought a PS1 to get.
Yeah. So many there that I forgot about. Genuinely forgot about. Like, but I think the iconic one for me is like Gran Turismo. That's what I remember now.
As far as iconic, I mean, Spyro is like engraved in my brain after that kid just took a giant dump on me when I was at his house getting babysit. Like, man, he scarred me, but probably the best scar I ever have. Like, that was crazy.
So what did you sort of graduate onto next then? Did you always have a PlayStation 1?
Um,
And then did you go Xbox anytime after that, or?
I did not own an original Xbox. I used to go to, I don't know how nationwide they even are. There's this thing, the Boys Club. It's kind of evolving into Boys and Girls Club now, but back in the day it was like Boys Club and they had football teams, basketball teams. It's like somewhere for parents to drop their kids off after school or on summer break and like have them still be active, you know?
Yeah,
Okay.
sounds like my crash.
Right. Oh, that's what, okay, got you, got you.
Yeah, that's what it's like.
Miss Jackson said, "I love Street Fighter still." Yeah, she kicked my ass, or she kicked my behind in Street Fighter relatively recently. Um, she's good at mashing buttons. Like, she'll wreck you
I-
mashing buttons.
It's all about mashing buttons, man. You need to do that.
But yeah, I never owned the original Xbox. I was there for the original Halo because of the Boys Club. There was a kid that brought in his original Xbox with Halo the day that Halo came out, and we sat there playing that for hours. Like my mom came to get me after school, like after I'd already been there for a couple hours, and I was not ready to go. I wanted to stay there. I was like putting up a fight and everything, trying to stay there to play Halo. That
That
was
sounds
crazy.
familiar.
Uh, but the next console I actually owned was a PlayStation 2. And while that probably has the biggest soft spot in my heart, like that is one of my favorite consoles. When it comes to the games, while again that has like the largest library. That's got what like 2,000, 3,000 something games on it.
Yeah, man, it's loaded. I mean, as a grand, I think it released to about 29 games according to this. I'm just looking it up on Google now, like 29 games. Not got a list though.
You said it released
Uh,
with 29 games.
it's according to this. I don't know if
Holy,
it's correct.
what?
PlayStation 2, yeah. Yeah, I mean, what's the first games that come to your mind when you think of PlayStation 2 then?
PlayStation 2.
What's
Off the top of
what's the
my
one?
head,
Yeah.
what's it called? What Scarface. Scarface,
Scarface.
like everyone loved GTA and I love GTA too. Like don't get me wrong, GTA 3, uh Vice City Stories, all the rest of that crap. The Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, of course. I love those games. But the ones that I adored more than anything during that time was Scarface because of the movie. I had a giant Scarface poster. I played the
Yeah.
game all the dang time. Like that was it. That and then The Sopranos, because my dad used to watch the Sopranos TV show, and I'd go in there and watch it with him. Like I shouldn't have been watching a lot of this crap at my age, but I'm glad I did. Like I'm glad I
It's it's,
did.
it's character building, mate. It's character building.
Oh yeah, for
Makes you a better
sure,
person.
for sure. Those were some of my favorite games just because like I already had that connection with the TV show, and back then like you're not as critical on it as we are now, because a lot of the
Yeah.
TV to game adaptations or the other way around were really skeptical on and very critical. But I was just having fun. It was basically GTA but set in Tony Soprano's world. It's like the world
Yeah.
is mine.
I mean, like I'm thinking right now. It's the games that sort of spring to mind for PlayStation 2. Like you said, like Grand Theft Auto San Andreas. That was big game for me on the PlayStation 2.
For sure.
But here's one that's like huge. Everyone has got to know this. Time Splitters. Remember Time
Yeah.
Splitters?
Oh
Wow,
my
that
God.
was
Oh,
huge, massive game on the PlayStation 2. I mean, I spent hours on that. I spent hours and hours and hours playing that game. And then there's all Gran Turismo again, number 3. That came out. Yeah, not too long as well. What else? What else springs to me? Metal Gear Solid 3. Wow, another one, another cracker.
I,
And did you ever? Sorry, go ahead.
no, you're good. I was looking. I thought I had a copy of Time Splitter sitting around here somewhere, but I'm not seeing it. Oh no, I have to look back into that. Go ahead
Yeah,
though.
yeah. I was gonna say there was another racing game that I played. I mean, if you remember it, do you remember Burnout? It was
Oh my
wild. It was like
God, Burnout was the bit. Burnout Crash, Burnout Takedown. Yes, I loved
they,
Burnout as a kid.
it's like essentially you're trying to cause as much carnage as you can while driving.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah,
It
that
was
was
like a
that was
kind of
super.
arcadey game, kind of like a Need for Speed back in the day. It wasn't overly realistic like Gran Turismo. It was more on the line with like Need for Speed, maybe even a bit more arcadey than that, but then just causing ultimate carnage and try to get the highest amount of damage caused to like cityscapes and cars and all that.
Yeah, that's. I mean, I had the most fun playing that as well. So you said as well that you didn't. When did you get into Xbox, or did you have an Xbox at some point?
I had a Xbox 360 was the first Xbox console I ever owned.
Yeah,
Um,
like that was I was primarily see when I went PlayStation. Uh, I had both at one point, so I always had Xbox and PlayStation. But then I sort of drifted toward Xbox, and then that was my sort of. I think I mentioned it before. That was my sort of my dive into Oblivion and Morrowind. I mean those
yeah,
two, especially Morrowind, man. I'm going to talk about Morrowind if you don't mind.
yeah, go
Uh,
by all
Mor-
means.
Morrowind, man, that was right. I think we chatted about this before, but when we talked about Kingdom Come Deliverance and we talked about hand holding in games, right?
Right.
Morrowind was like the least. Well, there was a little bit of hand holding, but not much. But see, when you were given quests and stuff like that, I mean, in the open world itself, the advancement from sort of Daggerfall and Morrowind was revolutionary because the character creation, like the characters you can create, the builds you could create, and sort of how you could play the game. You know, how you wanted to play like a mage or you wanted to be a warrior and stuff like that. I know a lot of games had done that before, but not to the extent at the time as like Morrowind. And that for me was huge. I mean, like the amount of quests and the amount of dialogue in there as well. Particularly as well that the fact that a lot of it wasn't voiced. It was, and I don't know if you agree with me here, but I think sometimes that makes it a little bit more immersive. Do you know what I mean? What do you think?
Uh,
For the fact that the characters, there wasn't too
oh,
much dialogue in it.
yeah,
Voice dialogue, should I say?
uh, if you're used to more modern game, okay, Oblivion was my introduction to RPGs. Let me just skip into that. That was what got me started in RPGs.
Yeah, man.
Um, Going for more from like a more modern gaming landscape. Like we're used to a little bit more hand holding. We're used to like waypoints pointing us exactly where to go, or at least in the general direction of where to go. The fully voiced dialogue, it is a little bit of a hard transition going back to games like that. Personally, I still have never played Morrowind. I have watched playthroughs. I enjoyed the game from what I've seen of it, but I have not actually played through it myself. Um,
Right. Well, I didn't know that. I didn't know that you hadn't played it. Wow,
yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
like the jump would be. I think you would. It'd be a bit of a wild jump going from
exactly.
Oblivion to Morrowind. I think because you'll be like, what's going on? But I think you would like it in a way because of the challenge and getting your head around it. Because it's more, again, like I say, it's not very handholdy. There is handholdy elements with quest markers and stuff, but yeah, it's you really need to take your time. I mean, you really need to have a good think of it when you're think about what you're going to do and how you're going to approach different things. And it was quite buggy at the time as well. Typical Bethesda, obviously, but yeah, it was quite buggy and at points. But it allowed you to kind of going back to what I said about Fallout. You know, it was one of those ones where if you spotted something you wanted to do, like if you wanted to be a thief or if you wanted to approach something in a certain manner, you could do it. It gave you that freedom to do it. Do you know what I mean? It was
Oh
that sort of
yeah.
thing. But you said Oblivion. You said Oblivion was your sort of first forte into the Elder Scrolls series, right?
Yes, and it was actually on the Xbox 360. That's when I very first played Oblivion because my neighbor, I was Team PlayStation, like I still am Team PlayStation, but back then having a PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, when the PlayStation 3 and Xbox first rolled out, I was wanting to get a PlayStation 3, but then we had a couple kids move next door that were around my age. Like one of them was older than me, one of them was younger than me, so I felt like right in the middle of them. And
Right.
like literally by 1 year each direction. It's kind of crazy, but um we clicked. They were team Xbox. Their parents were already planning on buying them an Xbox, so I was like, man, screw it, it's guaranteed I'm gonna have people to play with. I'm gonna get an Xbox. And I was a huge fan of Halo. Like, thank God I got to see Halo in its prime. Thank God I'm not like a Halo Infinite kid. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. I'm sorry, but thank God. Um,
I remember my memories as well. Halo on the Xbox, man, playing that the very first one, and getting
yeah.
on those what they call the warthogs, the little
Oh
the sort
yes,
of
yes.
those things, man. They were. I mean, that's mad. Like that's my first memory that I'm thinking of Halo, just getting on those and running around with the troops on the back with the cannon or the minigun on the back. I just
Yeah.
remember that and the sort of the combat, the freedom combat as well, the meaty the gun sound effects, and yeah, it was just a great experience. And yeah, I feel sorry for the kids of today.
And
They
even when you
they didn't
don't have
experience
internet, that's the thing. Like, you don't have to have internet to play online with other people. You had split screen co-op. You could play through the
it. Yeah,
entire campaign on split screen or linking up with the Ethernet cable, connecting the two consoles directly via LAN and just playing side by side like that. Those were some of the best memories I had of gaming was like during that era, the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 era. Playing couch co-op with people like that, it's crazy
yeah,
that so many people are not going to get to experience that anymore. Like, we're going further and further away from that, which is really mind-blowing to me, seeing
yeah.
what it was and how far it fell.
I missed out on a little segment like for like sorry to go back, but my graduation from SNES to Nintendo 64. When you mentioned split screen and couch co-op, how could I not mention GoldenEye? I mean, GoldenEye, that was huge for me. That was a game, again, couch co-op, playing that, and that sort of graduated me onto Time Splitters and then what you're talking about now, Halo. Aye, I just thought I'd chuck that in there because I completely forgot about my N64 phase. But yeah, the wrestling games as well. It's great
Dang,
fun.
yeah, I didn't
Creating,
even mention that, did I?
yeah. But yeah, the sort of co-op, I remember getting the multi-tap. Do you remember the multi-tap where you could plug
Yeah.
in
Oh,
you could
yeah.
plug in like 4 controllers, and
I think I have
that was
one of
that.
those like somewhere in a box right now. I'm pretty sure I have one.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, I kind of derailed derailed
Oh,
you
you're
there, but
good. You're
no,
good.
the multi-tap sort of aspect, the couch co-op was fantastic. You, I would literally, when playing GoldenEye or playing split screen, we would cut bits of cardboard out so people couldn't see our side of the screen. Do you know what I mean? There was bits where we could play, so there was no cheating involved. You couldn't see what the other person was up to. That was pretty groundbreaking at the time. It's
Oh,
great fun.
yeah. It's experiences like that that kids like. There's so many people that will never just get to have that. You know, if you weren't around during that time, there's not gonna be another time like that.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
So how did you sort of progress onto your PC gaming phase then? How did that come about?
That was thanks to my wife. I I had
Right.
a I had a yearning for a PC. Like, I wanted a PC for a long time. But although I have all this like gaming collecting stuff, I'm frugal to an extent. Like, I've been relatively frugal. I do
Yeah.
kind of spend here and there, but I'm not spending big chunks of money. And whenever it comes to larger sums, like my wife knows I hate spending larger amounts of money. I hate it. Um, I could never talk myself into buying it because it was like, well, I've already got this and I've already got this and I'm already playing this. But for years, man, like, I don't know, you're not that well versed on like Call of Duty Zombies, right?
I'm familiar with it, but like I've played Call of Duties through the years, but honestly, I can't. Modern Warfare 2 was the one for me that I played,
Got you.
and then I play a lot of Warzone with my friends. I've given up on that recently though, but I did from Warzone
Yeah.
1 all the way through till the up and cut the current Warzone I've been playing, and I kind of dipped into multiplayer. But yeah, I wouldn't say I'm overly versed. Like yeah, I would say you're correct there.
So in World at War, when Call of Duty Zombies first dropped, that was huge. Playing through Call of Duty World at War and then getting to the end of that, then you drop in as JFK and you're surrounded by zombies, not knowing, bro, that was mind blowing. Talking about another experience that kids are never gonna get to have. I beat that game. I stayed up late past my bedtime. I should have been asleep, had everything turned off. Middle of the night, dead quiet through the house, playing in the dark. And then I get through that campaign and it drops me into the Pentagon playing as JFK. and I hear the zombies yell, and I about like, I almost had to change my pants, you know? Like that
Yeah,
was
man, I know, I
rough.
know.
That was rough. That again, that was one of the best gaming memories I had too. That was such a not a culture shock, but you know what I'm saying. That was a huge shock.
Yeah,
Um,
it's like a revolutionary point in gaming
yeah,
sort of thing.
exactly,
Yeah,
exactly. But off of that, that spawned like a whole nother side interest. The Call of Duty Zombies specifically, I fell in love with that. And I watched people playing on PC, specifically NGT. If anybody here is familiar with like older Call of Duty Zombies, NGT was huge YouTubers at the time. Um, Next Gen Tactics, who I can't remember everyone's name off the top of my head right now. It's been so long, but they were a huge part of my life. I used to watch them play on PC, seeing that there was actually community maps being made. And then eventually that led me into, again, because of Oblivion, seeing that Oblivion was being modded. And then the Fallout love story that I shared on here, basically my whole history with Fallout that introduced everyone to how I found Fallout was because of those neighbors that I keep talking about. Like there was so many memories based off of them, and they are what introduced me to Oblivion. And then one of the friends that they connected me with, he's the one that introduced me to Fallout. And I went down this whole rabbit hole on archaic YouTube, like like old school YouTube, trying to find different stuff about Fallout. And I was actually looking up guides on how to do a couple specific things after beating the game a few times already. And I stumbled on some mods. And since then, like, that was really what kickstarted the whole thing back in, what was it? Probably 2010, 2011. Like, since then, I have wanted a gaming computer. And then it was like, what, 4 years ago, 5 years ago? Uh, After being with my wife for like a year or so, she invested in me getting my own personal gaming rig. And, yeah, that's, that's really what leads us to here. There's a hell of a lot
yeah.
in between, but that's to summarize it.
No, nice. And I know you the video obviously you made detailed how you got into Fallout and stuff like that. But can you tell us what what was the initial like? I mean, New Vegas is your goat, right? New Vegas is your
Yes,
boy.
that's the
Yep.
one. That's the one for
Tell
me.
us tell us about the time when you picked up New Vegas then.
So, oh my God, I'm gonna try to make this as short as possible. Um, Brief summary: I was completely addicted to Fallout 3. Beat all the DLCs. Was doing the research, checking out mods. Like I was in love with Fallout 3. And then I hear rumor one day when I was watching G4 X Play. I was watching them on the G4 channel, and a trailer popped up, like the very first teaser trailer for Fallout New Vegas that showed almost nothing except for a hand coming out of the dirt and showing Victor like sifting through the dirt. That was it. And then it said Fallout New Vegas at the end of it, and I almost again needed to change my pants. Um, and I was doing research day after day, coming home from school, summer breaks, like everything. I was sitting there at the computer constantly trying to check out, see if there was any update on it, any news on it. Um, my mom was telling me constantly, like, quit checking out those videos, quit reading the articles, get off the. I watched the Fallout New Vegas Wikipedia page get created and slowly checking day by day, seeing what weapons were being added or like what type of character was going to make a return or like checking any and everything I could for the longest. One thing, like skipping ahead a little bit, eventually I do get the game, and yeah, that was an experience. I pick it up, get it home, and I experienced the spinning head of Doc Mitchell. Doc Mitchell was like
Yeah, yeah.
demented thing that everyone saw. Again, up late in my room, middle of the night, and then there's this dude that woke me up out of my what I thought was my death, and his head is spinning, and I didn't know what the heck was going on. Um, so there was that, and then the game, the constant crashing, the issues. We didn't even have internet at this time. Like when the game finally came out, there was like a brief window where I didn't have internet access on the console, and I played through it for like several months, close to a year, without being able to update it. Not only was it like hard crashing at the beginning of the game, all throughout it, the constant crashing issues. Oh, at this point, I was playing on PlayStation 3 as well. I was on. Why put. Uh, I was on the PlayStation 3. I'm sorry, I just got completely sidetracked. Um,
Ah, no dramas.
Jesus. Constant crashing issues. I get to the end of the game right at the Hoover Dam battle, right as soon as that final little scene initiates. For my playthrough, it was the Legion coming at us, the NCR attacking them head on right before the boomers flew over. That's how I had it set up. Right
Yeah.
before the plane starts coming in, it would hard crash every single time. It would completely lock my console up. I said wait for like 10, 15 minutes and just lock, so I had to completely power cycle it. And it was just stuck like that. There was nothing I could do to get past it. I tried to start up a couple different characters. I went back to old saves. I did everything. Like there was like at least three characters that I played through the entirety of the game, got all the way to that final mission, and could not beat it for almost a year. I went through hell with that game, and to this day, that is still my favorite game of all time. Like that is still my baby.
It sounds like a bittersweet relationship with that game by the sounds
Yeah,
of it.
a little bit, to say the least. Like, would I put up with that now? No, no,
Yeah.
not at all. But times were different back then. Games were a lot more limited, and it was just Fallout, man. Like I fell in love with Fallout after Fallout 3. It pains me that I still have not played Fallout 1 or 2 personally. Again, I have watched playthroughs. I've enjoyed like the lore videos put up by Mantis and Oxhorn and all these other YouTubers, but I've never sat down and actually played it myself.
Well, like I said, that was my Fallout 1 was my introduction to Fallout, and yeah, man, that was for me that was like revolutionary, and for definitely for RPGs anyway. I mean, I had a little stint with Daggerfall, but Fallout was the scene, like the post-apocalyptic scene, the darkness of it. I mean, the the grittiness of the sort of the atmosphere. It was right up my street. Do you know what I mean? Fallout 1,
Oh
Fallout
yeah.
2, and hopefully we'll maybe see you at some point doing a playthrough of either 1 or 2.
Oh yeah, I definitely plan on doing a playthrough of 1 and 2 at some point. Like we've gotten away from Fallout on stream. Like we've been completely consumed by Kingdom Come Deliverance, and we'll get back to that because we're not going back just yet. There's some more medieval stuff coming our way very soon. Um,
Yeah,
but Kingdom Come Deliverance, that's we'll come back to that one.
yeah, we'll come back to that one.
I plan on playing through all the Fallouts. Surprisingly, I have played more Fallout Tactics Brotherhood of Steel than I have either Fallout 1 or actually Fallout 1 and 2 combined.
So Fallout Brotherhood of Steel, that was the PlayStation game, right?
Yeah,
I remember it.
yeah,
Yeah, so it was just like a shooter, wasn't it? A top-down shooter.
pretty much, and it's rough. It's a top-down shooter that's like Fallout inspired at best. I wouldn't say that it's necessarily a Fallout game, but
I remember the soundtrack. They had a certain band on there. There was like it was Slipknot, wasn't it? It was Slipknot metal. I'm pretty sure there was when you fought some of
uh,
the bosses. Yeah, it was.
hold on one
I've just looked it up.
Oh, it is. You already looked
Yep,
it up.
yep.
Got you. Well, you beat me to it. I was looking for the physical copy, but yeah, that is insane. I didn't realize that Slipknot was that old. That's kind of crazy to me.
Yeah, it was during one of the boss battles, and I think the ending credits as well. The ending credits was Slipknot. But yeah, PlayStation. What PlayStation? That was PlayStation 2.
Yeah, that was PlayStation 2.
Yeah,
I
cool.
haven't played it
Yeah,
on there. I've actually played it a bit on PC. Well, through emulation on the PC, you know.
yeah. So
I'd never even heard of that again. Like Fallout 3, that was my introduction. But yeah, I went back and played that a little bit. I definitely want to get to Fallout 1 and 2. We need to get back on focus with Fallout a little bit. But go ahead.
yeah. No, sorry, I was just going to say that. So like I mean, that was your New Vegas. You talked for your New Vegas experience and stuff like that. But there was all the other Fallout games that you talked about as well. Like I'm surprised. Yeah, I mean, I never class Brotherhood of Steel is a Fallout game, obviously, because it's like, it's not an RPG. It's like a shooter and stuff like that. But yeah, I got it. I'm actually looking at it on my shelf now. There was the cancelled one as well. There was Van Buren as well. Did you hear about that? Did you
Yeah,
ever
that was
research?
supposed to be the original Fallout 3. It was supposed to be the same style as Fallout 1 and 2, but then the whole Black Isles takeover and yeah. Or bankruptcy? Did they go bankrupt? Or what
I don't
exactly?
I don't know. I need to have a look into that. I'm not quite sure.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact in real life lore on that, but I know something happened. They got that takeover from Bethesda, and then we ended up getting Fallout 3. What we know is Fallout 3.
Yeah, definitely, man. Right. That's pretty much covered what we what was our sort of gaming experiences, isn't it? I think.
Yeah, for the
Shall we
most
move on
part.
move on to the next topic?
Go ahead, take the wheel.
Okay, so I think we're going to chat about what we're playing these at the moment.
Oh
We'll
yeah,
talk about the games that we're kind of playing at the moment. Do you want to start off, or do you want me to start off?
go ahead.
Okay, so I know you're gonna like this, so I'm gonna have to explain myself as well. So I'm currently playing The Last of Us for the
Oh
very,
my
very
God.
first time. For the
Yeah.
very first time. And I'm just gonna say that well, I'm gonna explain why I'm playing it for the first time. So I love, you know yourself. I love my zombie movies. I'm a
Oh
huge
yeah.
zombie buff. I play loads of zombie games, like I've been playing Left 4 Dead and Dead Rising, you name it, Resident Evil games and all that kind of stuff. But I went from like my console gaming to PC gaming, and obviously, The Last of Us was on PlayStation, so I couldn't get it, and I didn't have a place. I gave up my PlayStation at that time, so I was always waiting for that PC port, and then it eventually came, and like we talked about, it was, the PC port was rough, so I waited and waited and
Yeah.
waited, and it came on sale, and I started playing it yesterday, and oh my God. Well, I mean, how have I not played this earlier? Do you know what I mean? It was like from the intro itself. Wow, I was just like, this is heavy, and this is gonna be a bumpy ride. Definitely gonna be a bumpy ride because, yeah, I'm really enjoying it. It's just, it's everything a sort of zombie game, a zombie sort of RPG should be, right? It's
I'm
got the
so incredibly jealous. Like I cannot understate that. Like I'm so incredibly jealous of you right now. I wish I could play that game for the first time.
Yeah, I mean the intro sequence, and again, it's been out for a long time, so I'm guessing it's not going to be spoilers to anyone because a lot of people have played it and stuff. But the opening scene where Ellie gets shot and you're carrying her through, all the carnage that's going on and stuff like that. I'm just like,
Yeah.
oh my God, what have I got myself into here? And then I'm at the stage at the moment where I first encountered the clickers, and they really like creep me out. They're insane. They're just the way the way they come at you and stuff like that, and how you have to be really stealthy to get past them. Yeah, I mean that's like it's been an amazing experience so far, and I'm literally going to jump back onto that game as soon as this podcast finished. I'm that like hyped to play it again. But yeah, that's one of the games I'm playing. And another which I've recently picked up was V Rising. So V Rising, for anybody that doesn't know, it's like a Diablo style hack and slash game where you have to, the way you level up is by crafting and looting and stuff like that. Essentially, you're a vampire. You raise out the ground, you come out your coffin, and again, the hand holding stuff, it's not there. It's not there for you. You literally come out. There's a couple of messages in the top left to tell you what you're going to do. You collect a few bits and bobs to craft, and then you go into this open world. So yeah, I'm playing that right now, and I'm really enjoying it. You go into that world, you collect resources, you start building a castle where you're going to be based, and you do all that crafting sort of thing. So yeah, I'm having a really good time with that, and I think that I'll be switching from between The Last of Us if I can get myself off The Last of Us back onto V Rising. But those are the two kind of games that I'm focused on at the minute. I got back into something we'll talk about later probably, but yeah, Chivalry 2. That's
Oh my
great
God,
fun.
yeah.
Yeah, it's just a arcadey hack and slash. It's just hilarious, like the stuff that goes on in there. some of the stuff that goes on in Chivalry 2. Like I said to you before, you just think of Kingdom Come Deliverance's combat, but simplified, and it's just like arena fighting and storming castles and defending castles, and yeah, those are the main three that I'm playing at the moment.
So we're just gonna go ahead. I'm gonna do a quick interjection here, just so everybody's aware if you're not already. Prime Day, July 16th, July 17th. Amazon is giving away their 2 monthly games, but they're also giving away 3 additional games on those 2 days. It's gonna be oh crap, let me pull it back up. Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League is one of them. Oh my god. Chivalry 2 that Blue was just talking about, and Rise of the Tomb Raider. They're going to be giving those 3 games away just for those 2 days. I'm pretty sure that's going to be exclusively to the Prime members. Pretty good lineup. Suicide Squad Killed the Justice League. Like, I don't care for that game. I know there's a lot of drama surrounding that one. And it's
Definitely.
crazy to see that that's already free. Like, it flopped so hard that it's already being given away for free. Chivalry 2, you have got me really excited to play that. I had a little bit of eyes on it before we had talked about it whatsoever. But you've got me extremely excited for that. I didn't realize before that it's actually a multiplayer game. And for those of you in the Discord, subscribers to the channel, we will likely be doing some community events with that game. I'm definitely looking forward to that. If you haven't seen it, Chivalry 2, definitely give that a look.
Yeah, and I'm just going to jump in here and say I highly recommend it. I mean, I've just talked about it there, but the multiplayer aspect of it, you can just jump in. There's no messing around. You can just jump in, do a free-for-all fight. I mean, and it's all. I mean, it's been out for a long time now, and a lot of people are pretty good at it. But there's training modes. There's like an arena that you can practice, like as multiplayer. You know, you can practice against your friends and stuff like that. And I think I can't talk it up more. It's hilarious, especially for free. I mean, it's an absolute bargain for free, and I think we'll have a lot of fun playing that on stream.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it for sure, man. Hopefully the stream ends up liking it pretty well. Hopefully Lobster, you, Kevka, Gears, all the regulars around here. Hopefully we can get everyone into it a bit. On top of that, well, I guess I still need to cover the games that I'm currently playing through, huh?
Yeah, man.
Well, mine's a bit more varied. Like, considering the stream and like YouTube and everything else, I'm a bit more varied currently. But Kingdom Come Deliverance, we just beat that on stream. We beat the base game, still got to go through the DLCs. Been having a blast with that. I think everyone's been enjoying it. I know I've introduced several of the viewers to the game and then reignited that little spark for the game for the people that have played it. Completely slept on Hidden Gem. Set in 15th century Bohemia. Very early 1400s. Crap.
I think you're right.
Yeah,
It's
something
Czech
like
Republic.
that.
It's basically in the Czech Republic.
Okay. Yeah, we've been playing through that. Got to go through the DLCs. We've been playing a lot of Fallout 4. Currently, I'm playing it on a crazy, like, hardcore one life zombie invasion, zombie infestation, with countless deaths already. 2 to the same landmines, and that was just I don't even want to
Yeah, I've
think
seen
about
that.
that anymore. Jesus.
That's one of the first things I've seen. That's one of the first things I've seen on your stream.
Oh, that was rough. That was rough. On top of that, I have been playing some Battlefield 3 earlier this morning. Actually, I did the first little community event. Battlefield 3, 4, and Hardline servers are getting shut down November 7th on PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. So if anyone views this later and is interested in that, we will be doing more community nights on Battlefield 3 to kind of send them out with a bang. Had a couple people join in today. That was pretty fun. And of course, me, you, Lobster, and Gears, and occasionally Slayer, we've been playing some Fallout 76 together, which is crazy to think that we've been playing Fallout 76 in 2024. At least to me personally, that's kind of crazy. But it's been a relatively good time. We've had some fun experiences. That is definitely a game I have realized that is fully intended to be played with friends. Regardless if you can play it solo or not, it is definitely intended to be with friends, and it's just much, much better.
Yeah, it's in a much better state right now compared
Yeah,
to what it was, and
that too.
100%, 100% agree that getting your friends on there and playing, and working as a team and all that. It's yeah, it's just good fun. It's like essentially just doing the quests, looting the DLCs, and brought some life back into it as well. I mean, we've
Right.
still got to do that, haven't we? We've still got to finish off that little bit of
Yeah.
DLC. So
Yeah.
that's we need to do that at some point, I guess.
Jesus. We're gonna start doing morning and evening streams.
Yeah.
And on top of what we're already covering on the channel, there's actually some good stuff heading our way within the next couple months. I'm extremely skeptical and critical when it comes to new games. I don't really pre-order games anymore, which is a topic we can talk about in a whole different podcast. But let's see, September, just a couple weeks before my birthday, we're getting Stalker 2, which, good God, I'm so ready to melt my computer with that game. I am so ready for that.
Yeah, that's one of the up and coming ones that I'm looking at. There's two. There's like Stalker 2, and Space Marine 2 for me. That's the two that I'm looking at.
I've got three. It's going to be Stalker 2. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 is supposed to be coming out this year. They have not given it a date, but it's supposed to be this year. And Avowed, the new RPG from Obsidian.
Yeah, we talked
I'm
about that,
actually
didn't we?
really excited for that one too. And more than any of these put together, Fallout London could be dropping it any minute. Like literally all they're waiting on right now is for the GOG team to finish up the launcher. And as soon as they get the installer and launcher on a good enough state to work on multiple different types of machines, London's good to go from what they just released yesterday.
From what I understand, they've sort of they're going to launch it on the old engine, not the update, right?
Exactly.
Is that what that's what's
Exactly.
going to happen? Yeah, I think that's a wise move by them, to be fair.
I think that they just put out yesterday that you have to do that yourself, but if you're downgrading the game, it's really simple. There's multiple guides online, and if anyone's watching this and wants to hear a little bit more about how to do that, if you need any assistance, hop in the Discord. We've actually linked it a couple times. I'll make sure that we get a fresh link for that in the Fallout tab specifically. It's really easy to downgrade your game if you have already upgraded to the latest Fallout 4 update.
Yeah, I think I mean I've not done it. I'm still stuck with the not updated version. So I've got my my game on
Right.
pause basically on download. So I'm doing that. But yeah, I'll be looking at that definitely, because the amount of work that seems to be done on that game, it has been done on that game, and the trailers and stuff like that. I'm really excited about it, like the sort of detail and
Yeah.
the new factions as well. Like
Oh yeah.
I see some of the one of the factions is like Teutonic Knights sort of thing. Like, I mean, like not Teutonic Knights, but you know what I mean, the Crusader Knights,
Yeah.
that sort of thing. I mean, I'm really into that. So that could go back to chivalry and that sort of chat, to be fair. But yeah, the new factions and exploring London. Do you know what I mean? Something that's not set in the US, a new Fallout. So, and it's looks to be well done. I think a lot of the developers and things like that have been already been like sort of poached by Bethesda, haven't they? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, like through the whole process, they were nabbing them like left and right. They were all after them. I know that they've grabbed a few developers from the Fallout Miami team and the Capital Wasteland project. Like Bethesda's been keeping eyes on these major projects for sure, but I feel like London was hit harder than most of them were.
Yeah, I think it's pretty cheeky what Bethesda did with that update, to be fair, because they didn't warn them, did they?
They they gave them that 2 day update, like the 2 day warning. It was last minute. I'm grateful that they did something. Like it was still kind of a douchey move to throw that out. Like we were waiting and waiting and waiting, and Bethesda's talking about an update potentially, and Fallout London's talking about they're gonna be coming out soon. And as soon as Fallout London puts a date on it, Bethesda's like, oh yeah, we're gonna update the game 2 days later. So kiss all your work goodbye.
Yeah, pretty much. That
Uh,
actually made the BBC News website. That did.
which
I
is
mean,
crazy. Like,
yeah,
what?
yeah. In the UK, it's like something I'd never expect to see. So I opened up the BBC website, and there it was, like the controversy with Fallout London and them not giving them a prior warning to the update. I was like, this is news. This is
Right.
BBC news. That kind of blew my mind.
I've never known how to be anything but me, and back in the day, like I fell in love with Fallout 3 and I became a Fallout nerd with Fallout 3 and I go to school talking about that. And everyone else is more worried about Call of Duty and Madden and occasionally the Battlefield player and all that. Like everyone's on sports games or Call of Duty basically. Like I mean, granted it was the height of Call of Duty, but still, I go to school talking about that and everyone would just clown me for liking Fallout or liking the Elder Scrolls or whatever other Bethesda title, you know? People always used
Yeah,
to talk so much crap about Bethesda. And to see where it's at now, where the Fallout went mainstream, like that Fallout TV show did so much for the franchise, it is absolutely crazy. Whether that's going to be a good thing in the long run or not is still to be determined. But just the fact that Fallout has gone mainstream like this still kind of like blows my mind knowing where it was and what it came from, you know?
yeah, definitely. Because for me, my experience, like from Fallout 1 and 2, they weren't big, it wasn't well known. But when
Right.
Fallout 3 came out on the Xbox, that's for me when Fallout exploded. That exploded, and all my friends were
Dang, yeah,
talking
that's a
about it.
whole nother perspective. Yeah, go
Yeah,
ahead.
definitely. Another, sorry, yeah, no, it's a different perspective in terms of like taking these two turn-based isometric RPGs. I don't think they're classed as isometric. I can't remember what it's called, but yeah, having that brought into like a first-person and also third-person world, that was for me, that was like incredible. Do you know what I mean? And I think
Right.
the buzz from the TV show as well. It's completely heightened and made it like more mainstream, give it more of a mainstream audience, definitely with the TV show and its success. And I'm gonna be blunt here. It's like, but it's surprise success because everyone was expecting it to be
A
not very good.
complete flop. I
Yeah,
I tried to have high hopes, you know, like I was trying to remain optimistic and like we've talked about, I sit there with my wife with my power armor helmet on, my Nuka Cola sitting next to me, my little anthology, the mini nuke sitting there. Like I had all this Fallout crap just sitting on the couch with me, completely being like a 5-year-old child with this, and I did not care. And
yeah, I know,
I
but
was still like, I still didn't have high hopes, but I was just excited to see Fallout on TV. And the fact that they pulled it off and actually made it entertaining, made it to where you want to continue watching the damn show, and stuck to like what makes Fallout Fallout for the most part. Like the dark humor, the her being completely, I don't know, witless to what the world is now, her being a vault dweller, like that,
yeah,
I
she's
don't, they
she's
did it
pretty
so well.
she's pretty much like a she's uneducated to the outside world, and
Yeah.
she's led a very sheltered life, a very sheltered vault life in terms of going out into the wasteland, and yeah, the rough wasteland that's plagued by raiders and all sorts of things. But yeah, I know exactly what you mean, and she's you can see her like sort of character progression as you go through the show. She starts to get tougher and she starts to get wise and witty about things, and yeah, she basically gets self-aware.
The character progression of all the characters, Maximus is the only one that I'm not necessarily fond of. Like you would expect the ghoul, the way that they've played or like set up the ghoul, it was like he was gonna be the jackass. He was gonna be the bad guy out of the group, but it seems like Maximus is more of a bad guy than any of them. You could say that he's more of an idiot savant, but I feel like he's just so self-centered and he really doesn't care about anyone. He lies to Lucy multiple times, makes it seem like he's gonna be on her side and that he's doing righteous stuff for her and tries to kind of seem like a good guy right at the end, but then again, I don't know, man. He's just so self-centered. I don't really
Yeah, I
know what
think
to make of him.
it's definitely somebody you've got to keep your eye on. There's going to be some sort of twist with him, I think, 100%, I reckon. But yeah, there was one scene, if I'm being critical, right? There's a few things that I could be critical about, but there's one scene that I really didn't like. Is it's when they're in that sort of town, like the sort of megaton sort of town, and
Right.
he gets into the power armor, and the power armor starts flying around
Oh
like,
my
do
god.
you know what I mean? And like the
Yeah.
jetpack,
Yeah.
I was like, what is this?
The
Like this
Iron
is
Man hands where they came down with
yeah.
what? Like
I was like,
what?
that was the thing. I was just like, what the hell is this? But I mean, as a whole, I think the show is a success, and like I said, it breathed new life into the Fallout, and
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
attracted a new audience. And it can only benefit the sort of franchise going forward, I think, because the player count for Fallout 4 and 76 skyrocketed, didn't it?
Yes,
It was
76
insane.
specifically. That was
Yeah.
crazy to see how big of a comeback that 76 made. Like, granted, it's the newest one, but it was also considered one of the worst ones. I would not have
Yeah.
expected that to blow up the way that it did.
Yeah, like I say, the player count and the franchise going forward is going to have a massive sort of benefit of that, I guess.
Oh, yeah. I can't wait to see what they do with New Vegas next season, man. I hope we don't have to wait like 3 more years to watch it.
Yeah.
What do you think? Well, actually, now we'll save that for a different show. We've been live a little over an hour now. I think we've covered all the topics. Is there anything else you would like to cover? Anything you didn't get to talk about?
We're going to talk about what people bought on their Steam sale. I guess
Oh, yeah, we did skip that. Whoops.
we could talk about. I mean, it's a quick one, so like, I mean, we could finish the podcast off with that. So I'll let you run with that. I'll let you start.
Okay. So yeah, the Steam summer sale. I did not spend much. I spent like $30. So I was really, really tame, really mild. Let me get to this page. I thought I already had it pulled up. Store.
I mean,
Okay.
there was a lot. Sorry, go on.
There were a lot of good deals. A lot of it was stuff that I already had, or like I already had it on a different platform. I was like, honestly, I'm probably not gonna play it again. Like if I have a physical copy on a console, and it's not necessarily something I just see modding or like wanting to do on stream at the moment, I just kind of passed on it. But let's see, there was a bundle for Dead Rising 2, Dead Rising 2 off the record, Dead Rising 3 and 4. I got all of those for like $15. We were talking about Dead Rising. That's getting a remake of the original Dead Rising that's supposed to be out, I think, relatively soon, isn't it? Like within the next few months, I think they're releasing that.
I'll need to check, but I think that sounds about right.
So yeah, to kind of lead up to that, I was hoping to kind of play around with Dead Rising, but it seems like we're gonna be so booked on everything else that may have to wait. I got Far Cry 2, like again, Far Cry 2 was like $1, maybe $2 at most. Dark Messiah of Might and Magic, we talked about that, and the ultimate kick, like the Spartan kick in that game.
Yeah.
Again, that was like $2 or under. I picked that one up for like kind of just its own random stream one day. Um, Paul has been talking about Bulletstorm multiple times, and I think a couple other people have brought it up. So I got Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition with the Duke Nukem add-on for like maybe $3.50, $4 total. And then Battlefield 3 Premium and Battlefield Hardline Ultimate Edition. I picked all those up, and again, everything that I got was just a couple dollars a piece. I went mostly older games, which kind of tells you a lot about what the current games industry is looking like. But
Yeah.
that's a whole nother stream worth of talking.
Yeah, so I went nuts. I went nuts and got a lot of stuff. I got a lot of stuff. So I got I got 2 mana games. So again, this is going back to when I grew up and I was playing Secret of Mana. So I fancied a little bit of nostalgia. So I bought Trials of Mana, and what was the other one I got? I think it's called is it Trials of Mana, and I can't remember the other one. But it's another Mana game. I'll have a check in a second. But
Okay.
I went for of course, The Last of Us. Yep, already
Right.
talked about that. I
Right.
went for V Rising. I went for another game called Silica, which is like an RTS FPS type game where you build a base and you can take control of troops. I've not touched that yet, so yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And I got Rage 2, which was like $6.99, and I thought that was going to be a bargain. I've not played that, but that appealed to me because it looked a bit like post-apocalyptic Mad Max style FPS first-person shooter. So yeah, I went with that, and I think that's about it. I think that's it when it comes to the Steam sale. But I bought a few others prior to that. But yeah, that's probably about it for my Steam sale. But so I've got a lot of stuff to work through. I'm still
Oh
playing
yeah.
Ghost of Tsushima and a few other games, so yeah, I've got a backlog of stuff, so that'll keep me occupied for a long time.
Yeah, I'm trying to slowly work my way through that backlog. I know we briefly talked about it, but recently a Steam survey wasn't directly through Steam, but whoever released this survey, roughly $9 billion worth of games are sitting in people's libraries that we've never played.
Wow.
And I'm relatively guilty of that myself. Like, I have a
Yeah.
good amount sitting in my Steam library, and then literally like 300 games or so sitting behind me right now, and I've got a good chunk that I have never touched.
So the other game that I was talking about was Legend of Mana. So I got Trials of Mana and Legend of Mana. But yeah, I'm going to have a lot of, if I can't find, if I'm bored, I've got no excuse. I've got so much to play.
You know, again, this it could be a whole nother topic, but there's this phenomenon. I can't remember what the thing is called. Um, Basically, you get overwhelmed by choice, and then you basically hit like paralysis on that. You have so many things to play, and then you end up sitting there for like 30 minutes to an hour and be like, oh crap, I didn't even play anything. I was trying to decide what to
Yeah.
play. Like, yeah, that is a real thing too. I've experienced that multiple times sitting here looking at these bookcases like full of games. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, I can relate to that definitely. There's been a couple of times last week where I was just sat there and I found myself just scrolling through YouTube and things like that where I should have been, battering these games, getting these games done.
Right.
I had that much choice, but I think like I said, my attention will be towards The Last of Us. So I'm going to be jumping on that as soon as possible. That's my sort of number one.
Nice. Nice. I'm wanting to get back to a bit more of a routine schedule, like certain day or two out of the week we're playing Fallout. We could dedicate a day or two to Kingdom Come, and then at least once a week, I want to throw just a random game up that I've never played and slowly work through the backlog. Even if it's just like an hour, maybe 2 hours of gameplay, just giving a game a fair chance to just work through the backlog.
Yeah, definitely, definitely.
I think that would be a fun thing to do on stream potentially. We started it with Far Cry. Far Cry 2 did not last long. The FOV in that was starting to make me nauseous, and we were having all kinds of issues. You talk about a buggy game. Were you there for that stream, bro?
I caught little bits of it, but yeah, it seemed like you were having problems. I'm pretty sure you just went straight. Did you just say you went back to Kingdom Come? I think you did, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. We played it for like
Yeah,
30 minutes or so and then bounced into Kingdom Come.
yeah. I mean, I had Far Cry. Is it Far Cry 2? You said, yeah. I
Yeah, Far
think
Cry 2.
yeah, I had that. I played that, but I can't remember much of it. I played Far Cry 5. That was the last one I played, and that was great fun. I mean, co-op, and that was hilarious. But yeah, that was. I think going back and playing those games are difficult, isn't it? Because
Yeah,
you're gonna
yeah.
you're gonna have issues. You're gonna have like not you know with it being a bit outdated and stuff like that, plus crashes and stuff like that. You're gonna have that sort of
And the
drama. But
way
I remember
game
it.
design has changed, like it was so handholdy, which was another issue I was having with this. Like every time I thought I was about to actually just get a go play, it's like, nah, look, remember you can hit your right mouse button to aim. It's like, dude, I've been in the game for like 20 minutes. Why are you telling me this? Like,
Yeah, I know the tutorial stuff goes OTT like.
yeah, and you can't get past it. It's the ones that like pop up on screen for a couple seconds and you have to actually hit the exit button or like the OK button. That kills me, man. Like, good God, just let me play the game.
Yeah, frustrating.
But I think that just about wraps everything up now. Like, I
Yep,
think we've
I
done it.
think I think that's it. Yeah, that's our first little foray into the podcast scene, shall we say?
Been a bit of an introduction. The next podcast will most likely be Sunday Eastern Standard Time around this same time, around 6 a.m. on Sunday morning, if we go with Monday. Well, stay tuned on the channel. We'll be back with you guys about that with the actual topic. It will be a legit uh, podcast, not so much of an introduction and talking about our background. Well, I gotta go because of beat everything. All right, Kevko. Well, thank you for being here. Uh, this the chat completely refreshed, and I lost who was here. I know they Miss Jackson, you were in here. We had Beat in here. Thank you all for tuning in. This has certainly been a pleasure. I look forward to doing much more of this in the future with Blue. Stay tuned. We will be back sometime very soon with some actual gaming news and some other gaming topics. If there's anything specifically that you guys would like us to cover, feel free to leave that in the comments. You know how to get a hold of me on Discord. You have anything to add, Blue?
No, I just want to say thanks for the guys for tuning in and listening in. This is obviously our first little podcast, and we hope to do, like Ross says, a lot more content for you guys. But yeah, thanks very much for tuning in, and I hope everybody stays safe.
Oh yeah. You guys stay active, stay hydrated. I'm gonna holler at y'all later. Take care.
Live in stereo.